Wait, do you know that the one thing standing between you and financial freedom right now is not your income? It's not the economy. It's not your boss. It's not the neighborhood you grew up in. It's not even luck. It's something far more invisible, far more dangerous, and far more fixable. It's living inside your head, right now, as you watch this video. And here's the terrifying part. Most people will go their entire lives, working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, retiring broke or barely surviving. And they will never know what it was. They will blame everything and everyone around them. But they will never look inward. They will never find it. But you're watching this. And that already tells me something different about you. So stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes has the power to completely rewire the way you think about money. Forever. The invisible wall. Let me take you somewhere for a moment. Imagine two people, same city, same age, same starting salary, same rent, same bills. 5 years later, one of them is drowning in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where all the money went. The other has investments quietly growing in the background, an emergency fund fully stacked, and is 3 years away from walking away from their 9 to 5 forever. Same circumstances, completely different outcomes. What happened? This is the question I spent over 2 decades studying. First, as a financial advisor, watching clients make the same devastating mistakes, and then as someone who dove deep into the psychology of wealth. What I found shook me. It wasn't knowledge that separated them. Both people knew what a budget was. Both knew they should save. Both had heard the word invest. It was their mindset, specifically a series of deeply embedded mental patterns that were either quietly building wealth in the background or silently destroying it. And today, I'm pulling back the curtain on all of it. But before I do, if you've never been on this channel before, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now, because every single week I break down the psychology of wealth in ways that most financial educators are too afraid or too unqualified to go into. This channel exists to make sure you don't become a financial statistic. Subscribe, and let's get into this. 1. The scarcity trap, the mindset that keeps you poor. Let me tell you something that might be uncomfortable to hear. Most of us were programmed to be broke, not by any evil force, not intentionally, but by the environment we grew up in, by the conversations that happened at the dinner table when you were 6 years old, by the way your parents talked about money, or didn't talk about it at all. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. We can't afford that. Who do you think we are? Sound familiar? Those weren't just phrases. Those were installations, lines of code being quietly written into the software of your mind before you were even old enough to understand what money truly was. And here's where the psychology gets chilling. By the time you're an adult, those beliefs don't feel like beliefs anymore. They feel like facts. They feel like reality. They become the invisible lens through which you see every financial decision, every opportunity, every risk. This is what psychologists call a scarcity mindset. And it is, without question, the single most financially destructive force I have ever witnessed in over 2 decades of working with people and their money. The person with a scarcity mindset doesn't invest because they're afraid of losing. They don't ask for a raise because they feel undeserving. They spend impulsively because deep down, they don't believe money will ever stay. So they enjoy it before it disappears. They self-sabotage over and over again. And the cruelest part? They don't even know they're doing it. I want to stop here and ask you something personal. And I want you to really sit with this. Growing up, what did your parents or the people around you say about money? Drop it in the comments below. Was it positive? Was it fearful? Was it silent? Like money was a topic no one dared to speak about openly? Because I promise you, Your answer reveals more about your current financial situation than your bank statement does. 2. The identity shift. The secret? The wealthy know. Here's something that took me years to truly understand. And when I did, it changed everything. Wealthy people don't just do different things with money. They are different in how they see themselves in relation to money. This is not motivational fluff. This is neuroscience. Your brain is wired to act in alignment with the identity you hold about yourself. Psychologists call this self-concept consistency. If deep down you see yourself as not a money person, your brain will unconsciously ensure your financial reality matches that identity. You'll leave the investment account untouched. You'll let the opportunity pass. You'll convince yourself it's not the right time. But flip that identity, even slightly, and everything changes. The wealthy don't wait until they have money to start thinking like wealthy people. They think like wealthy people first, and then the money follows. They ask different questions. Instead of, can I afford this? They ask, how can I afford this? One question closes the mind. The other opens it. They see money not as a destination, but as a tool, a resource that, when channeled wisely, multiplies. They don't chase money. They attract it by becoming the kind of person money is naturally drawn to. And yes, I know how that sounds. I know some of you are rolling your eyes. I know because I rolled mine too, early in my career, before the evidence became impossible to ignore. If this is hitting differently for you right now, if you're starting to see things about yourself you've never noticed before, please share this video. 3. Delayed gratification. The most painful wealth principle. Let me paint you a picture. It's Friday evening. You've had a brutal week. You're exhausted, emotionally drained, and your phone keeps buzzing. Your friends are meeting up at that expensive restaurant downtown. And just 2 hours ago, you told yourself you were going to transfer $300 into your investment account this weekend. What do? This single moment, this one, quiet, unremarkable decision, is where financial freedom is won or lost. Not on Wall Street, not in board meetings, not in some grand cinematic turning point. Right there, at 7 p.m. on a Friday. When you're tired and tempted and nobody's watching, there's a landmark psychological study, you may have heard of it, called the Stanford Marshmallow Experiment. Children were given a marshmallow and told, eat it now, or wait 15 minutes and get 2. The children who waited, who resisted the immediate gratification, grew up to have higher incomes, better health, stronger relationships, and significantly greater financial stability. Delayed gratification is not just a virtue. It is a predictor, a measurable, documentable predictor of long-term wealth. And here's the part nobody talks about. The reason most people fail at this isn't laziness or weak character. It's pain management. When you've lived in scarcity, when money has always felt like it's slipping away, spending becomes a coping mechanism, a dopamine hit, an escape from anxiety, from stress, from the quiet ache of a life that hasn't turned out the way you dreamed. You don't buy the shoes because you need them. You buy them because for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, you feel in control. That is not a character flaw. That is trauma response. And recognizing it is the first step to breaking free from it. Here's a question I want you to think deeply about. And please, be honest with yourself. What is your relationship with instant gratification when it comes to money? Are you someone who spends emotionally? Is shopping your stress relief? Or have you already mastered this? And if so, how? Share in the comments. Your answer might help someone else. 4. The compound effect of thought. Now, let's talk about something that the financial industry almost never talks about, but that I believe is the deepest root of all financial outcomes. Your daily thoughts, not your annual budget review, not your quarterly financial statement, your daily, minute-to-minute, internal dialogue about money and about yourself. Here's why this matters more than you think. Neuroscientists have discovered that the human brain fires the same neural pathways repeatedly. The more you think a thought, the more automatic the thought becomes. The more automatic it becomes, the more it shapes your perception. And your perception shapes your decisions. And your decisions shape your reality. It's a loop, a relentless, invisible loop. People who stay poor don't stay poor because the world is unfair, though sometimes it is. They stay poor because they think poor. Every single day, often without realizing it. Every time they say, "I'll never get out of debt," their brain takes that as instruction. Every time they say, "People like me don't get wealthy," their subconscious accepts it as truth and begins filtering out every opportunity that contradicts it. This is called the Reticular Activating System. It's the part of your brain that decides what information to let in and what to filter out, and it takes its cues directly from your dominant thoughts and beliefs. Tell it you're broke. It will show you evidence of your brokenness everywhere. Tell it you're becoming financially free. It will start surfacing opportunities, ideas, connections, and resources you never noticed before. Same world, completely different experience. I need you to do something for me right now. Not later. Right now. If you're not subscribed, hit that button. And hit the bell notification too. 5. The wealth wound. What nobody ever talks about. I've sat across from hundreds of clients over the years. Some of the most brilliant, hardworking, talented individuals you could ever meet. People with multiple degrees. People with exceptional skills. People who, by every external measure, should have been thriving financially. And they were stuck. Not because they lacked discipline, not because they didn't try, but because deep inside, buried beneath the surface of their conscious awareness, they carried what I call a wealth wound. A wealth wound is an unresolved emotional experience tied to money. It could be growing up watching your parents fight about bills every night. It could be the shame of wearing secondhand clothes to school while other kids had new ones. It could be the guilt of being the only one in your family who made it. And now you unconsciously shrink yourself financially to not seem like you think you're better than them. It could be a failed business that broke you, not just financially, but emotionally. And somewhere in your mind, the decision was quietly made. Never again. And that decision, meant to protect you, has been blocking every financial breakthrough ever since. These wounds are real. They are valid, and they are devastating when left unexamined. The work of financial freedom is not just spreadsheets and compound interest charts, as important as those are. It is the deep, courageous, sometimes painful work of uncovering what money means to you. And why? Because until you heal the wound, you will keep repeating the pattern. I want to speak to someone right now. I don't know exactly who you are, but I know you're watching this for a reason. I know that somewhere inside you, there's a version of yourself that you keep catching glimpses of. A version that is free. A version that doesn't check their bank account with their eyes half closed, terrified of what they'll see. A version that sleeps well at night. A version that gives generously, lives fully, and has options. I know that version feels far away sometimes, maybe impossibly far. But I need you to hear me when I say this. That version of you is not a fantasy. It is not reserved for other people. It is not something you have to be born into. It is built, brick by brick, decision by decision, thought by thought. And the fact that you're here, watching this, absorbing this, questioning yourself, means the building has already begun. Don't stop now. I want to ask you something that might be the most important question of this entire video. What does financial freedom feel like to you? Not what it looks like. Not the house or the car. What does it feel like? Safety? Peace? Power? Freedom to choose? Freedom to say no? Write it in the comments. Be specific, because the clearer you are about the feeling you're chasing, the more real and urgent the motivation to pursue it becomes. 6. The 3 mindset pillars of financial freedom. So now let's get practical. Because all of this psychological insight means nothing if it doesn't translate into real, tangible shifts in how you operate. After 2 decades of research, observation, and direct client work, I've identified 3 core mindset pillars that separate people who eventually achieve financial freedom from those who never do. Pillar 1, long-term vision over short-term emotion. The financially free think in decades. The financially stuck think in days. When an investment dips, the financially free see a buying opportunity. The financially stuck see confirmation of their worst fears and sell, locking in their loss and proving their scarcity mindset right. Emotion is the enemy of financial strategy. Not because emotion is bad, but because financial markets are designed to exploit emotional reactions. Fear and greed are the 2 levers that move money from the hands of the reactive into the hands of the patient. Train yourself to pause, to breathe, to zoom out, every single time. Pillar 2, ownership, thinking over employee thinking. This does not mean you must quit your job and start a business tomorrow. What it means is this: you must begin to think like an owner, regardless of where you work or what you do. Owners ask, how does this create value? Employees ask, how does this get me through the day? Owners look for leverage, ways to multiply their time, their skills, their capital. Employees trade time for money and hope it's enough. The shift from employee thinking to ownership thinking is the precise moment most people's financial trajectory changes direction. Pillar 3, intentional discomfort. Financial freedom is not comfortable to build. Anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you something. It is uncomfortable to say no to the vacation when you're exhausted and burned out. It is uncomfortable to invest money that could be spent today. It is uncomfortable to have the hard conversations with yourself, with your partner, with your family about money. The people who achieve financial freedom are not people who like discomfort. They are people who have made peace with it, who have decided that the temporary discomfort of discipline is infinitely preferable to the permanent discomfort of financial regret. They feel the resistance, and they do it anyway. We are getting to the most powerful part of this video, and I don't want you to miss what's coming. So if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? 7, the moment everything changes. There is a moment, and most people who've achieved financial freedom can point to it exactly, where everything shifts. It's not the moment they got a raise. It's not the moment an investment paid off. It's not the moment they made their first million. It's a quiet, deeply personal moment, a moment that often happens in the dark, in the middle of the night, when the world is asleep and the silence forces an honesty that daylight doesn't allow. It's the moment they look at their life and say, "This is not the life I was designed to live." And they mean it, not as a complaint, not as self-pity, but as a declaration, as a line drawn in the sand between the person they've been and the person they're choosing to become. That moment is available to every single person watching this. You don't need a certain level of education. You don't need a certain income. You don't need permission from anyone. You just need the clarity to see that you have been settling, and the courage to decide, quietly, firmly, irrevocably, that you won't anymore. Have you had your moment yet? That moment of true financial clarity, where you looked at your situation and decided something had to change? Tell me about it in the comments. When was it? What triggered it? What did it feel like? And if you haven't had it yet, maybe this video is it. Maybe right now is that moment for you. I want to leave you with something I tell every client I've ever worked with, and I want you to carry it with you long after this video ends. Financial freedom is not a number in your bank account. It is a state of mind, achieved first in the invisible, internal world of your thoughts, beliefs, and identity, and then reflected in the external world of your finances. The money follows the mindset, always, without exception. You were not born to spend your most vital years trading your life for a paycheck, spending your weekends recovering from a week you didn't choose, and dreaming about a retirement that may never come. That is not the life you were designed for. The life you want, the peace, the options, the generosity, the freedom. It is already inside you, waiting, behind the layers of programming, fear, and conditioning that were never yours to begin with. Your job, your only job starting today, is to clear the path. Question every limiting belief you have about money. Heal the wounds that have been quietly controlling your financial decisions. Choose the long view when everything in you screams for instant relief. Surround yourself with information, people, and environments that expand your sense of what's possible. And above all, believe. Not blindly, not naively, but with the deep, evidence-based conviction that millions of people, from circumstances far more difficult than yours, have done this before you. And they did it not because they were special, but because they decided to think differently. And you can too. If this video moves something in you, if something shifted even slightly, I need you to subscribe and share. Are you ready to choose it? I'll see you in the next one.